Look up the word crazy in the dictionary and you might just find an asterisk beside the definition that says, listen to the Subiquitous podcast featuring Sue Duffield and you'll find out what crazy means. Sue's travelogue journey of unfiltered stories, impossible miracles, and faith-filled fun will be revisited right here. So buckle up and let's get going with this humorous travelogue of an unfiltered saint, Subiquitous.
It feels like forever since the last podcast. What is that? I don't know. Some weeks feel like they speed by. I blink my eyes and it's gone. And then there are other weeks that I feel like just drags. And I don't know why this particular week just drug, because I had a great time. I mean, I've had some really good times with my family and my grandsons and eating. And forgetting to wear my mask when I go in and out of restaurants. What in the world? Okay, so what we're going to do today, let me just prepare you. This is the Subiquitous podcast. This is not any authority, but this is my opinion. And we're going to go from craziness to truth of what Scripture says, if that's okay with you. Welcome again. This is episode number 20. I can't believe it's episode number 20. Where has the time gone? It's gone fast, but then, like I said, it also kind of slows up a little bit. My mother used to say that the older you get, the longer the weeks are, but the shorter the days. And I think I understand that just a little bit. We are literally the last Tuesday of September. We're going to blink our eyes. This weekend launches another month, October. And where are we compared to where we were in March? I think we're a little further ahead down the road when it comes to the pandemic. It all depends on what news source you're listening to. But I think there's a little bit of a letting go, kind of like what you talked about last week. There's a little bit of leniency happening. People appear to be not as dramatically fearful, but they're still going through the process of, I don't know, the after effects, like the shock of an after effect of an earthquake. I think we're still somewhat experiencing people with anger issues and isolation issues and all of that. Well, we went to a wonderful couple's house in East Nashville last week, and we spent some time with really good friends. And we had just a nice time sitting outside on their back deck. And one of the things that we talked about were these masks. So let me just say to you, Jeff Duffield, if you're listening, are you there? I wonder if you are. Are you still? Okay.
Am I listening? Am I here?
Well, this is
where would I be?
Well, no, this is sometimes what you do when you're waiting for me to.
I'm listening.
I know, but occasionally you're multitasker.
No.
Yes, you are.
Well, I may be, but I'm not.
Oh, okay.
I'm sitting here in my comfortable chair.
There have been times you've been watching Three Stooges on your phone, waiting for me to introduce you.
Television is off. No, the phone is off.
Okay.
I'm actually sitting here, and that's no mask.
That's no mask. But thank you, Jeffrey.
Jeffrey?
I don't know, Jeffrey. Thank you for...
It's not Jeffrey. It's Jeffrey.
That's right. Your mother used to say.
Yes.
It's Jeffrey. Although there are some men that...
That is a spelling. ERY is a spelling. It's a correct spelling.
English
but that is not my spelling.
And it's not GEOFF.
REY.
Like Joffrey.
Which is what I got when I went to London once, but no.
Did you get Joffrey?
Yeah, they had a seat reserved for me in the auditorium. It said reserved for Joffrey Duffield.
No, it did not.
Yeah, it did.
Oh, my goodness.
The guy who wrote it was Irish. Which,
well, then there you go.
So am I. At least I thought I was. Anyway, my sister did more research.
Are you less Irish than you thought?
That's what they tell me.
What are you?
French.
Get out.
And there's a little bit of
Parlez-vous français?
As my dear mother used to say, a little bit of high Italian in there.
Well, that we do know, and I don't. Yeah. I don't.
The Duffields actually came from France. They were Huguenots.
That's right.
Which is not a space age character in a Star Wars movie. But it was a religious group in France that was driven out, right. And they went to England. Actually, they went to Ireland.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how they pronounce it, but if you were French, I guess you could say Duffield in French, but there was no D on the end of Duffield. No, there was Duffield.
Duffield?
That's a terrible French accent.
Don't
I
do
had
that.
4 years of French 1, so it's not anything I'm good at.
But I bet I have a feeling though that
How did we get down?
I don't know, but I want to end.
trail?
I want to end this part of that conversation.
Yeah.
I think you're smarter than the average bear,
Okay.
and if you had really put your mind to it, you probably could be speaking French today.
Yeah, how's your Spanish?
Hola, ¿tienes un lápiz? That means hi. Do I have a pencil?
Yeah.
Or do you have a pencil?
Uh-huh. How much you got? How much more you got after that?
don't know.
Yeah, and you had 4 years of it.
I know.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, that's all right.
But you didn't use it. But that's
No.
another story.
And speaking of not using things,
Yes, and I'm not using anything other than I'm sitting here holding a pencil. The pencil that you just wanted to know if I
Yeah.
had.
you and I have had this talk. We've not shared it necessarily publicly, but we have had this talk how we are abiding by the rules of the mask. We are.
We are. Yeah.
And we're being
when we're
very
out in
conscious.
public, we're trying to be respectful. We realize there are other folks out there who
Yes.
have different levels of concern. Let's just put it that way.
Right, there are. And
And we're trying to be respectful of other people because we don't want to cause them angst or anguish or whatever. So we put a mask on.
Right. And what's interesting is where we live in this country. We live on the outskirts of Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
And for the last couple of days, you and I have been in and out of Nashville a lot. You were in the Ryman a few days ago.
Oh, dear.
We went downtown to watch the Eagles lose or tie their game with
Some would say lose, but it's okay.
at a pub downtown that plays the Eagles games.
Yes.
So we've been in and out of Nashville a lot. We had some friends that were visiting a few weeks ago, and we took them on some tours of downtown Nashville.
Yep.
Downtown Nashville.
Yep.
If you were to believe everything that you see and hear on the news and everything, it would be like the whole place is shut down. I mean, that's what they would say.
Well, Nashville kind of sums up a lot of the paranoia. Sorry for that.
I
my
know.
that's my personal opinion,
like
and
I said,
I'm sticking to it.
Well, for this example, this is the Subiquitous podcast.
Yes.
We are, at least in this country, at least for now, we are allowed to share our opinion.
Yeah, at least until November 3rd,
Right.
anyway.
But what really makes this podcast exciting is when you have a different opinion than I do, but not today.
Not today.
Not today. I'm
Not
afraid we're going to be
today.
on the same page, so it's going to probably be boring.
And we're not, and by masking we're not trying to mask our
No.
opinions, obviously. Boy, we can play on that for a while. But by not masking our opinions, we're not trying to say, or we're not making light of the virus.
Never.
No, there's a lot of people that got sick with it.
Yes, they are.
There's also a lot of people got sick with the flu. But we
Right.
didn't shut down the country over that. But I
No,
digress, and
I
let's
know.
move on to
Yes.
your greatest
Digress
one.
is one of your favorite words.
It is
You
because
use
we
that
do
a
it.
lot.
It's because we do it a lot.
know.
So okay, on to your greater point.
Well, I thought about this for a minute, that there are some funny, as I was always taught, you always find the comedic relief in something when you're going through a devastation.
and if there's any to be found, we'll
find it. And so I have learned a few things about wearing masks.
Have you?
Yes. And
what might they be?
Well,
is there a list?
There's a list.
Okay.
I wish you had a drum roll here. Okay. Number 1, I have learned about wearing a mask that my breath is bad. My breath is awful. It's like breathing in my own exhaust.
Well, it really isn't as bad as it seems because of the mask, but I understand.
I mean, seriously, it's no wonder I haven't knocked people out.
You are breathing
I'm
in your
almost
own
knocking
exhaust.
myself out.
Yeah, well, then doctors say that. I have a friend of mine, a studio musician in town, who was playing. He called me a week ago and said he was playing a recording session in town, and in the middle of the session, he got sick.
Because of breathing in his own exhaust.
He became nauseous. He got a
See?
headache. He got dizzy.
See?
And they were in the studio, but they were required to wear masks because
Right.
they're in Nashville.
Right.
And he took it off.
Right.
And he said within 15 minutes he felt fine.
Well, and any respiratory therapist out there that's listening, there's probably several thousand listening to us.
Yeah. Between now and the next 10 years.
Our son's father-in-law, respiratory therapist
Yes.
at AI DuPont Hospital.
AI what?
AI DuPont
Oh, okay.
Hospital.
Didn't sound like you said DuPont.
Oh, I didn't?
Sound like you said Devant. Just an
Do
observation.
you need some ear candling?
No, I'm doing ear
okay.
candy.
No, ear candling. Ear candling. See? I'm worried about him. He can't hear right.
Right. Uh-huh.
Anyway.
And I'm the one that hears the high-pitched beeps that goes off.
I know.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Anyway.
Our son's father-in-law.
Yes, he's a respiratory therapist
Yes.
at a children's hospital, retired now.
Yes.
And he was agreeing with me a few days ago when we were talking about it. He said, I'm fearful that if you're not wearing the correct breathable kind of a mask and you wear it all day long,
And let's face it, the correct breathable type masks are not the ones we find in Walmart.
well, even the medical profession, they may wear a mask all day long like our daughter-in-law does, but
Yeah.
she takes it off and on and puts new
Right,
on
right.
throughout the day.
Right.
So she does get, and does put her head out the window.
Put your head out
The window.
Go ahead. Yeah.
And breathes in some, some good old-fashioned oxygen.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I'm wondering, that was my number one.
Okay.
My number one was my take on wearing masks for Sue Duffield has been my breath. I mean, seriously.
I'm so sorry.
So then I also say number two. You ready for this one?
Go for it.
This is what I've learned from wearing masks. I am
Okay.
saving a fortune on gum and Altoids. Now, I can't take credit for that. You know who said that?
No.
Remember we were outside with Priscilla and Steve and Mary Jo and Mike last weekend out to dinner.
Right.
And we were sitting in their patio. And that's when Mary Jo said to me, she goes, I think about all of the money I'm saving from not buying Altoids and mints and stuff. Although I've been thinking I probably need it for myself.
Well, again, I think whatever.
Yeah.
I don't think it's as drastic as it appears to be,
No.
because you're getting it firsthand. The rest of the
know.
world doesn't have a chance to filter it.
Well, I don't know.
Whatever.
It's got me thinking. But
Anyway.
it is true.
Yeah.
But and again, number three, what I've learned is, so what if you forgot to brush your teeth? Don't worry, put a mask on.
Yeah, right.
And I'll be honest with you, one day I forgot to brush my teeth. I did, and that's almost like tragedy around here. I would never forget that. And I thought, why did I? Because as soon as I left the house in the morning, I put a mask on. I had it on all day, in and out. And when I got home, I went, dear God, I never brushed my teeth. This is frightening.
Oh, the humanity.
I'm thinking all the dentists are gone. Because, they were shut down.
They're thinking I'm going to buy another boat. All due respect to my dentist
all
friends.
these
Whoever you may
mask-wearing,
be.
isolated, quarantined people that haven't been to a dentist in, since March are now starting to go back, and they're finding
they
out.
can't,
I
can they?
know. Well, some of them can.
I was under I don't know if it's changed. Hopefully
Yeah.
it has, but dentists early on were not taking appointments except for emergencies.
Oh,
like
well.
crowns coming off or root canals or toothaches or whatever.
Well, it might be an emergency if I cause somebody to die when I breathe on them. So I don't know.
It's
Who
not
knows?
that bad. I, who get in close proximity to you on occasion, can attest.
Don't get too personal now.
Well, no, just, we are married.
Is
so
that right?
Yeah. We have no certification of that.
Well, that's another story. That could be another podcast.
That could be
We
another
have
podcast.
never been
Never.
able to find our
We were never
marriage
given,
certificate.
We were never given it.
We've
At
been
least
living
I
in
was
sin
never.
all these years.
Well, your father spent a lot of money for us to live in sin. And there's still, even today, a lot of people that were alive that can attest to
I
the
know.
fact that they were there
That's true.
to watch us,
Yeah.
put on the monkey suit and the long dress and
yeah.
go
And we
through
didn't
the
have
ritual.
to wear masks back
But
then.
we don't have a piece of paper.
See,
I imagine in New Jersey, in the state capitol, somewhere in their voluminous files.
No, I've never checked.
Yeah, but our pastor. Anyway, back to masks.
Well, and here's a thought. Wouldn't it be fun to create a jingle, Jeffrey? Masks on, masks off. Masks on, masks off.
Oh yeah,
masks
I'm
on.
gonna
Masks
start.
off!
I'm gonna start doing that today. And we're going to work on that this afternoon.
Okay, here's another thing. This
Okay.
is number 4, what I've learned about
right.
Sue Duffield through this
Okay.
whole masked
Okay.
regime.
Who was that masked woman?
I refuse. Okay, listen. I refuse to say to someone, "Oh, I love your mask." I'm not doing it.
Okay.
I'm not doing it. I'm not going to say it.
Okay. I mean, I got to be honest with you. I don't see a whole lot of great looking ones out there. So
Well, no, you would be surprised. I saw some yesterday.
I'd have to be. And you know
Sparkly
me.
sparkly kind, and then they have the sayings. Of course, I do have
I
one.
did see somebody that had sparkles or
Oh,
gems or whatever.
We're
it was.
talking about totally tricked out looking masks now. I mean, seriously. And I refuse to say to them, "I love your mask."
Okay.
I'm not going to do it.
Okay,
I'm not going
don't
to
do it.
fall into that trap because a year ago we didn't even.
Ago, 8 months ago.
Well, no, and I know there have been other, there have been other countries around the world that this is not new to them, but for us as a nation, this is brand new.
I guess.
Anyway, that was number
4.
4.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you ready for number 5?
Hardly wait.
Okay. What I've learned about masks
Dun, dun, dun.
is that there are some women who will do the matchy-matchy with their outfits.
No.
Yes, if they're wearing...
Oh, I can't believe
If
it.
they're wearing a chartreuse belt,
Oh, say it isn't so,
they're
Joe.
going to wear a chartreuse mask. It's like this matchy-matchy thing. It's like, come on!
You better be
You're
careful.
you're
Some of
accessorizing.
Some of your friends might have
I
these.
know.
They may be closet accessories.
They are.
Accessories.
Well, the big joke was at this retreat I did in Philadelphia a few weeks ago, and the big joke was there was one gal, one good friend of mine, that she always wears a different color mask depending on what outfit she's wearing. She says, "I just want it to be," and that's been the joke.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh man.
We have. You bought a couple of cloth ones early on. That the one that you got for me is a little too small for my big head, and so I don't wear
that was another
one.
subject I wanted to talk about.
Yeah, and then I'm wearing the paper ones that you bought wherever you bought them. The blue ones that everybody seems to have.
I don't know where I got those.
Yeah,
And probably
that's the
Kroger.
ones.
Kroger or something.
I'm after the mask that has the metal piece on the bridge of the nose,
Yes.
because if I don't have that, and even when I do, well, if I don't have a good one like that, the oxygen goes straight up alongside my nose and right up to my glasses, and I walk around like I'm in a fog.
Yeah.
It's very
well,
annoying.
and it happened yesterday. And
Very annoying.
so I take the glasses off, and then I can't see where I'm going. And
Hello.
what valid thing is it if
Yeah,
you have a
he
mask
didn't-
on?
He didn't die from COVID, but he walked out in traffic in the middle of the
That's
street
right.
and got run over because he
And he
didn't know where
didn't
he was.
spread anything either.
No, but
No,
it-
good for him.
Somehow, I think I'd be listed as dying of COVID,
I know.
getting hit by a truck.
Well, that's another story, and that's an opinion we're not going to talk about. We're not going to go there.
Again,
That's
this
all right.
is a free country.
That's
and
right.
My opinion is worth what they paid to get it.
Yeah, go in for 3 stitches and come out with COVID. I mean, whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Keep going.
All right.
All right.
That was what, number 5?
Hopefully
Was that
we still
5?
have
Number
people
6?
listening to us by the time we're done with
they're
this.
probably agreeing with us.
I hope.
And if they do agree with us, good for them. And if they don't, even more so.
We still like them if they don't
We
agree
love
with
them
us.
if they don't
Yes.
agree with us.
Yeah.
Because listen, we are following the rules, right?
We're doing our best.
We're doing our best.
Well, the good thing, here's a good thing about us. Fortunately for you and I, because we're in that high risk category.
Why did you have to go so close to the microphone when you
Because
said
it sounds impressive.
I don't think so.
9 out of 10 doctors. Anyway, you and I are in that higher risk category
That's
due to our
yes.
age, not due
No,
to
I
any
know.
physical impairments that we may have
Well.
or underlying. We don't have any underlying conditions.
I guess it all depends on who you talk to.
Oh, okay.
No. But yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Anyway,
Yeah.
back to my point.
Right.
The wonderful thing about this situation for us is that when you're not traveling, of course, you're home. And, the half of the time that I travel with you, of course, that's been cut out. The rest of the time, I'm here and I work from home.
Yes, you do.
I've been doing tracks and album productions,
Yes, right.
So it's it's a great thing that, I have done this a couple of times. You've been out of town here over the last couple of months. I've spent a couple of days where I've never left this place.
Which is another pet peeve I have.
Okay.
Because you need to get out.
Well, if I get out, I'll get infected or I'll infect somebody.
Not if you go for a walk around the neighborhood.
Well, okay.
And if you have to, put a mask on.
Okay, but then you run that risk.
But then you run the risk of not having brain activity because you're not putting oxygen in your brain.
Well, no. You know what I do when I'm here. I'm not exactly watching Popeye cartoons.
No, but you need to take a break once in a while.
My brain is tired.
I know.
From producing music.
I know.
So.
Well, I do want to say another thing here.
Yes.
We're
down to the last 10 minutes. I hope there's a point.
Well, there
is.
It's going to be great. And you're going to love it.
All right.
I was walking Nashville Airport when you came and picked me up last week.
That's true.
And again, people are operating in the mode of wearing masks, and I think it's great and it's wonderful.
I think you told me about this.
But what I saw, I could not believe. I saw two women walking down the terminal with plastic around their shoes, with rubber band around the ankles to cover the shoes.
Oh, you didn't tell me that.
Yeah, and then clear plastic leggings and a plastic shirt or something over top of their clothes.
Oh, my.
And wait, it gets better. And they each had masks on.
Right.
But then they had this helmet-looking thing like that. It looked like they were ready to do some welding.
Oh, my.
And the two of them were walking down the terminal looking like this. People were turning their heads like...
Oh, duh.
I mean, yes...
Wow.
First of all, I would say if you're that fearful, why are you getting on a plane?
Yeah, stay home.
And then how are you going to get on the plane with all that plastic stuff on? And
just put you in bubble wrap and put you in the cargo section of the plane. It'd be easier.
I had a hard time with that. I mean, I walked by and I went.
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't do. And then there was a lady next to me. She goes, "Did you just see that?" I said, "I know. I just."
Well, it's like anything else. It's like anything else. There are under and over reactions.
Yes. And then, exactly.
And we kind of, my father was good for this for the most part. He said, kind of maintain an even keel.
Even keel.
Kind of stay in the middle there. Balance is the word. Thank you.
Understand the truth, but then work according to, and like I say.
And, we went to some extreme lengths back at the beginning of this year and rightfully so.
Nobody knew.
No one knew.
Right.
That it was going to be less dangerous than the flu. But I digressed.
All right. But the nice thing, the last thing that I have learned about Sue Duffield wearing masks is that all I need to do is wear eye makeup. Because nobody sees my cheeks anymore.
I knew I knew there was something missing with me. I should have been wearing lipstick.
No, you can't wear lipstick with a mask. It gets all over.
Actually, I guess it's a good thing I haven't been wearing my lipstick through all this.
Right.
Oh, dear.
Well, the thing is, I had to wash one of the masks that you had in there because I wore one of yours yesterday.
You wore it.
Yeah, and it had lipstick all over it. So I did. Yeah. So anyway, to conclude this very exciting episode 20.
Yeah, this is one of our killers here.
Listen, I'm telling you, don't be fooled that thinking just wearing a mask is going to be all the protection you need. All right? There's a spiritual reason for this. And
I was waiting.
Yeah, stay with me on this.
I'm hanging in there.
I'm not against wearing masks. I'm not. But there are some things that the Bible tells us not to put a mask on.
Right.
All right?
And is there a list for those?
There could possibly be a list.
Okay.
You think?
Yeah, well.
Well, and I want to just briefly go over this, but I really, this is from my heart. We should never put a mask on Scripture. Never, ever cover up Scripture. I mean, spread the Bible far and wide and never be that sheltered in, it's just for me kind of truth process.
That sheltered in place?
Yeah. Don't get on lockdown when it comes to the Scripture and your salvation and your story,
I'm
right?
Impressed.
Well, then that's what I was thinking about. I think what we've done is we're creating a little bit of a fear factor again, where people aren't talking as much because we're afraid that we're going to infect each other, and the social distancing. And I hate that word. I hate that phrase. And I also hate the phrase "the new norm." I don't like that either.
Right.
But one thing I mean, you can go to Walmart, Jeff, and we can see more people wearing a mask than you used to see in the hospital years ago.
Oh, sure.
All right. So, the antiquity, I would call it, masks have been available for protection. So there's nothing wrong with using one for that reason. But people are wearing masks for their safety and the safety of others. But with all the hype about wearing a mask, I decided for just a little bit here to go to the Bible and see what it says about mask wearing. And so it proved an interesting little study for me over the weekend. I found that the Bible first mentions a face covering in Genesis 24:65. And it says, "For she had said unto the servant, What man is this that walketh in the field to meet us? And the servant had said, It is my master. Therefore she took a veil and covered herself." And so if you've ever been to the Middle East or attended a wedding, you understand that what Rebecca was actually doing here. And my trips you were in the Middle East, I was over in Malaysia. There were many, many women that covered their faces. So it is a biblical ramification there. Also in Exodus 34:33, Moses had been in the presence of the Lord and his face was shining so bright it was terrifying people, which reminds me, Jeff, you're going to love this story. A friend of mine told me that their 6-month-old has been so used to the parents wearing masks during this pandemic that the 6-month-old now cries when she takes it off.
Oh, my. My. Our grandson... Our grandson Nolan has reacted, when we've walked in and we've had our mask on or whatever, and then we take it off. He kind of gets a weird look on his face. Like,
he does.
What's
off on. Mask off, mask on, mask off. But the little babies, the little children that are used to, even NICU babies, as we found out, that have nurses that have had masks on since day one with them. They're used to that. These children are used to this that have been born in 2020. They're used to seeing people with masks. Now what's happening is that parents are finding out when they take them off that they're scared to death of the real face. So it goes, there's always this new norm. And I hate that phrase. Oh, I loathe that phrase. But Moses was so thick in the presence of God and so thick that his face was shining, literally, according to Exodus 34:33, so bright that he was terrifying people. So he had to use a face covering so that they would not run from him.
Right.
And some have suggested that this writer do the same. That's me, because my face scares people. I know that. No, I don't mean it I'm not talking about like a negative way. All right, but
when you bite people, they tend to get scared.
But I have been known, waiters, waitresses, people on the road, people in cleaners, people in the grocery store. I look at them right in their eyes. I get into their face, and even with a mask, I may say, "Hey, how are you doing today?" And that scares people because they're not used to someone who is so abrupt and kind of like shakes up their world, because we're living right now in an existence where it's just maintenance. Mm-hmm. And so, I don't know. I think personally, it's going to be up as a Christian and as a believer that we're really going to have to work double time to show our salvation through our masks. That's my thought. And so Isaiah 6:2 tells us about a vision of heaven. And I love this. It says, "Above it stood the seraphims. Each one had 6 wings. With twain he covered his face, and with twain he covered his feet, and with twain he did fly." And these angels are covering their faces with wings. And in the New Testament, it speaks of those that put a mask on their hearts, which we don't really want to do in 1 Corinthians 3:15. So here's my take, Jeff Duffield.
But...
What?
Let me interject this.
You can interject.
This is a contrarian thought.
Okay.
You've had a couple of experiences due to the mask that you've had on where you've been able to pray for people.
Well, yeah.
Now, that
was my choice.
Yeah, I understand.
Right.
The mask that you had on, what was
faith over fear.
That's it.
Right.
And you got into some interesting conversations with people, even in a grocery store,
right.
I think it was.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that means, I haven't thought through
Well,
that.
it means
but
that I'm not going to. I mean, I'm not going to be a walking billboard, and I'm not going to be all, fashionista about my masks.
Right.
But I am going. If I have to wear one, I might occasionally wear one that says something.
It's interesting, though.
It is interesting.
Yeah.
And so, here's my thought.
Okay.
My hiding my salvation is worse than hiding the cure for COVID-19.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's just me.
Right.
Because the devil hides salvation because he's evil.
Mm-hmm.
But a believer should share salvation, especially in a world using masks to extend and save their physical life.
Mm-hmm.
Don't ever mask the truth of God in your life. And, our belief in him is really all about unmasking anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And so if we can remember, yes, we're doing this physically for protection, but we really need to walk in the light as he is in the light. And wouldn't it be awesome to have so much light on our face like Moses that it would kind of startle people?
Really?
And I've had that before.
Yep.
I've had that in a small way. I mean, I'm not comparing myself to Moses by far, but I am saying that there has been times with my eyes, with my intent, and with the anointing of God that's on my life, I have watched people say, wow, I was just drawn to you. Can you help me? Or there's
Right.
something about you in your presence. There's something about you in your character.
Yep.
Don't let the masks dictate to you your walk with Christ. Because I'm going to say, in closing, God left us here to shine. And if we don't shine, even through the masks, who will?
Yep.
So thank you again for tuning in to the Subiquitous Podcast. Every single Tuesday, this was episode number 20, Masks On, Masks Off. Get on SueDuffield.com and you'll find all the information you might need on how to support this ministry as we go worldwide. The irony has been unbelievable with online concerts and also this podcast, how God has used it to touch people around the world, even as far as Iceland, Iran, Peru, Bolivia. It blows my mind. But thank you again for your support. Get on SueDuffield.com. You can also write us a letter if you'd like at P.O. Box 2172, Hendersonville, Tennessee 37077. Tune in next week. We love you, and by far, don't let wearing a mask cover up your light.